Imagine watching a magician perform a trick. His hands move with practiced ease, guiding your eyes exactly where he wants them. You follow the flourish, the distraction, unaware that the real magic is happening elsewhere. This is Law 3 from the Timeless Principles of Power. Conceal your intentions. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. Guide them far enough down the wrong path, envelop them in enough smoke, and by the time they realize your intentions, it will be too late. Robert Greene. During 17th century Paris, Ninon de Lenclos, a legendary courtesan and master of seduction, took a young marquis under her wing after hearing of his struggles to woo a beautiful but elusive countess. To win her, Ninon de Lenclos taught him that love was a game of strategy, not passion. First, he had to create distance, approach her as a friend, not a suitor, to unsettle her expectations. Then, he would spark jealousy by surrounding himself with beautiful women, making himself more desirable. Finally, he would cultivate mystery, appearing and disappearing unpredictably to keep her intrigued. The plan worked. The Countess grew more interested, her glances lingering, her curiosity growing. But then the Marquis made a fatal mistake. He confessed his love. In that moment, the spell broke. What had been an exciting game now felt like manipulation. As Ninon de Lenclos famously said, "It takes 100 times more skill to make love than to command an army." Ninon de Lenclos, 1620 to 1705. Centuries later, Otto von Bismarck used the same principle to reshape the fate of nations. In 1850, Germany stood divided. Prussia was on the brink of war with Austria. Prince William pushed for war. But King Frederick, William V, and his ministers hesitated, fearing Austria's power. But Otto von Bismarck, a staunch advocate of Prussian power and a former soldier, did the unthinkable. He publicly opposed the war, praising Austria instead and shocking the assembly by delivering a speech against it, warning of the devastation and suffering conflict would bring. Praising Austria and denouncing reckless warfare, he confused allies and enemies alike, swaying enough votes to prevent war. But this was no change of heart. Bismarck knew Prussia was not yet ready, that a premature war could lead to disaster. His deception paid off. King Frederick, William III, grateful for his stance, made him a minister, a position from which Bismarck strengthened Prussia's military and years later led the war against Austria on his own terms, crushing his old enemy and uniting Germany under Prussian rule. By hiding his true intentions and deceiving an entire nation, Bismarck ensured his ultimate victory, proving that power is often won not through force, but through strategy and patience. Often, the greatest deceptions are cloaked in sincerity. A sheep never marauds, a sheep never deceives. A sheep is magnificently dumb and docile. With a sheepskin on his back, a fox can pass right into the chicken coop. In the 1920s, Ethiopia's warlords were forced to recognize a rising power, Haile Selassie, then Ras Tafari, a quiet, unassuming strategist who outmaneuvered them all. But one man, the fierce warrior Balcha of Sidamo, refused to submit, marching to Addis Ababa with 10,000 soldiers ready for war. Selassie, instead of fighting, invited him to a grand banquet where Balcha, ever cautious, arrived with 600 armed guards, expecting a trap, but not the one set for him. While he dined, Selassie's forces disarmed his army without a single battle, buying their weapons with gold and scattering them to the wind. When Balcha returned, his power had vanished. With no army and no escape, he surrendered, retreating to a monastery in defeat. Selassie had won, not with swords, but with patience, deception, and a masterstroke of strategy that proved brute force is no match for true cunning. Before entering the monastery, Balcha of Sidamo said these last words: "Do not underestimate the power of Tafari. He creeps like a mouse, but he has jaws like a lion." As P.T. Barnum, the 19th century master of deception, grew older, he came to embrace his reputation as a trickster. At one point, he organized a buffalo hunt in New Jersey, complete with Indians and imported buffalo. He promoted the hunt as a genuine event, but it was so obviously staged that the crowd didn't get angry or demand refunds. They found it hilarious. They knew Barnum was always pulling stunts. It was part of his charm, and they loved him for it. This experience taught him an important lesson. Instead of hiding his tricks, he started revealing them, even sharing his deceptions in a candid autobiography. As Kierkegaard said, "The world wants to be deceived." While it's generally wise to keep your intentions hidden behind a familiar and unassuming exterior, there are times when a flashy, attention-grabbing display works better as a diversion. In 17th and 18th century Europe, the most notorious charlatans used spectacle and entertainment to distract their audiences. People were so dazzled by the grand show that they failed to notice the true purpose: the sale of dubious elixirs and quack potions. The charlatan would often arrive in a black coach pulled by black horses, surrounded by clowns, tightrope walkers, and star performers, all leading up to demonstrations of their miracle products. The entertainment became the main event, while the real business, selling the potions, was cleverly concealed. While spectacle and entertainment are powerful tools for misdirection, they can't be relied upon forever. The public becomes weary and suspicious, eventually catching on to the trick. This is why the charlatans had to constantly move from town to town before the word spread that their potions were useless and the performances a sham. In contrast, individuals with more subtle, unremarkable appearances could carry out their deceptions in the same place for a lifetime without raising suspicion. Their tactics never lose their effectiveness. The flamboyant smokescreen, then, should be used sparingly and only when the time is right. In today's world, the principles of Law 3 remain as relevant as ever. Whether in business, politics, or personal relationships, those who conceal their intentions hold the upper hand. They guide others without revealing their true goals, leaving their opponents guessing until the final move. Remember, in the game of power, the less you reveal, the more you control. Conceal your intentions, and you will always stay one step ahead. Like and subscribe to receive more lessons on the 48 Laws of Power.